This is the Ultimate Dallas Sports Show, sponsored by your North Texas Chevy dealers. Together, let's drive.
The Dallas Cowboys fall to 3-4-1 on the year, an ugly 44-24 loss at the hands of the Denver Broncos. The Cowboys still have not been above 500 at any point in the 2025 season, and this one was as bad as we've probably seen from them all season long, because even the Bears game, at least you had the excuse that you lost CeeDee Lamb. There's no excuse this time.
Oh, I'm frustrated because I was gone last week, so I did miss a chance to really pump up this team and ride the roller coaster a little bit more. Instead, 2 weeks later, I'm back on the wrong side of the roller coaster, sitting there going, What is up with the defense? But we got a lot to get into, so let's get right into it with What's on the Show.
Here's What's on the Show, sponsored by NFM.
A new Rocky Mountain low for the Cowboys has them under 500 again on the season after a blowout loss to the Broncos. We've got to break down what went wrong that we didn't expect for this high-powered offense as the status quo returns for the defense. And we debut a new game tonight, this or that. I've got the details coming up a little later on. Mike, that's What's on the Show. Now who's on the show?
On the show today, joining us from Denver, do we have them?
We hope. There they are.
Hey, there we go. All right. Joe Trahan, Clarence Hill. Gentlemen, appreciate you being with us. I'm sorry you had to witness that in person. What did you think of the Cowboys' performance today against the Broncos?
Well, first of all, I just want to let everyone know that the lights turn out here at Empower Field at Mile High at exactly 10 o'clock. If you watch Sports Special, you know
10 o'clock Mountain Time.
Full blast, and
there
they just turned out. So there's that little programming note, and it's actually kind of fitting, Clarence, with the way the Cowboys played today. I think the lights going out, that's perfect.
Yeah, the Cowboys' defense was awful, and it's been inept all season. And what we saw today, oh my God! I mean, they could not stop a nosebleed. Again, running, passing, wide open receivers, and shoddy. And the Cowboys want to say we had injuries. Well, you were bad when those injury guys were in there. This is what we've seen for much of the season, and this time the offense couldn't save them.
And that's the problem, right? It was going to happen. We knew this was going to happen at some point. Dak and that offense couldn't keep putting 40 on the board like they were being asked to do, and I thought it was unfair that they were being asked to play that way, but I didn't like the defensive effort. I just didn't, because I felt like up front that defensive line showed some things against the Commanders that we didn't see in this game, and Denver just ran all over them. And I know Denver's a much better running team than the Commanders are, but man, it just felt like there wasn't that pop and there wasn't that effort, and this team can't afford that, Clarence. If they don't come 100%, all guns blazing, every game, they're going to get run over.
Yeah, I agree, and you point to the effort, but the fundamentals. I mean, guys running. I mean, I don't know if it was just effort, because we've seen wide open receivers all season. We saw that in Chicago, and I will pump the brakes on the Commanders game, because we were good last week. Well, that Commanders team is not a good team. Okay, they were out there, three best receivers. They were playing offense with an arm tied behind their back, and so you were able to stop the Commanders. This was a whole different deal here, and they've been a different team on the road. I mean, you go back to Chicago, you go to Carolina, you certainly see what's happening here, what we saw tonight. They have major issues on defense. And I keep going back to, Micah Parsons, right? You can't get to the quarterback. You traded your best pass rusher for a nose tackle or a run stopper in a passing league, and you can't stop the run.
They cannot. They cannot. We thought they were going to stop the run. We thought that was part of the reason why Micah Parsons was expendable. We see now that is absolutely not the case, you guys.
Yeah, this has been one of the just to go back to the Washington of it all, Chill. You can't puff your chest because you stopped the UFL wide receiving core. I mean, that's what the reality of last week was. And in the moment, we all kind of went, hey, okay, maybe there's some growth, but we all knew the reality of who they were stopping in those moments. And now it's laid bare, and it only took 7 days later for everybody to notice that's all that was. That's all this ever was.
Well, and to me, the biggest problem here was this was an opportunity for a statement game.
Yeah.
You want to put some legitimacy behind Dak's MVP run. You want to put legitimacy behind you being in the playoff chase. The wins you've had have been against teams with losing records, okay? Washington, both New Yorks, okay? If you really want to show something that you're can compete, that you can, stay in the hunt. So, Jerry, make a trade. Do something in Denver. This was the opportunity. You haven't beat Denver since 1992. Do something in Denver, and they didn't do it. This was a chance to make a statement, and the Cowboys laid an egg.
Yeah, they haven't beat them in 30 years anywhere, and they haven't beat them here, and Clarence said, since 1992. And the interesting thing is they also lost the ability to put together a win streak because this was the pivotal game. If they would have won this one, they have the Cardinals and then the Raiders up next, and they all of a sudden could have been on a 4-game win streak, and this season would have a completely different tenor now other than what I think it is now. As Dak Prescott said, this team is up and down. They are inconsistent. It is unacceptable, and you never know what you're going to get from week to week. Let me amend that. You know that the defense is going to struggle.
Yeah, exactly.
Regardless.
Exactly.
Regardless. But that's about the only thing you can bank on, guys.
You know that whatever you saw last week is not what you're going to see this week. That's the consistency.
Well, and more importantly, when we were breaking down this season, we were talking about this stretch. This was the stretch that they needed to make hay on before they hit Thanksgiving when they got the Eagles, Chiefs. We go down that chapter and verse. We've done that 1,000 times at this point. At this point, you're going to have to win at least 2 of these games to even keep in a playoff race at all. And you don't even want to think about playoffs right now. Just get above 500. Like that's kind of where we are. Like get through this bye-week stretch, come out of it on the other side with at least some head of steam before things get really tough, Joe.
Yeah, no, because they better win these next 2. Because after that, I mean, it gets serious. I mean, the Vikings might not be as good as they thought they were, but, the Chiefs have caught their stride, and they're going to have to play them, and they're going to have to play the Eagles again. And, I mean, it's going to get really tough in this stretch that's upcoming. And if they don't win the next 2, Clarence, they might not even get close to 500 this season.
Well, Kyler Murray has never lost at AT&T
I
Stadium.
know this. I know this. I do know this.
They've never lost at AT&T.
Law of averages. They really need the law of averages
That
to
was going to
catch
happen
up.
this week. We thought the law of averages was going to catch up with them in Denver, but it didn't happen. And Kyler Murray's never lost at AT&T Stadium. Yeah, you brought up a good point. The Cowboys were trying to get off that win one, lose one thing that they were on and try to develop some consistency. That's what I was trying to say. This was the opportunity to really make a statement because you have the Cardinals or you have the Raiders coming up next, and conceivably they could have been 6-3-1 before they hit that stretch. Now everything is up for grabs. Again, when you can't stop anybody, there's no guarantees against the Cardinals. And there's certainly no guarantees on the road. Again, we see how they play on the road against the Raiders.
It's amazing. It's amazing how this thing could flip, man. It's what the NFL is. It's part of why we love it, with the way it's set up. But this team is on this awful merry-go-round of up and down, and it's just got the entire fan base's collective head spinning.
And one thing, Romo talked on the show, if they're going to win, they have to win with offense, right?
Yes.
Because we know the offense can beat anybody, can score against anybody. But the problems on defense are bleeding into offense. Well, I've been asking Dak after game, is it too much pressure? You feel too much, going back to Carolina, do you feel too much pressure? You have to score every time to keep up with the defense. And he said, no. But today,
yes,
that's exactly what happened.
We saw
At the end of the first half, you have a field goal in your back pocket, okay? And he threw a deep ball, a seam ball of Ferg that got intercepted by Jahdae Barron. Longhorn. You got to know Jahdae Barron's going to make that play, right?
Sneak that in there. Sneak that in there. Go ahead.
Don't do that.
Longhorn.
But seriously, you had a chance to just get a field goal, get some momentum. You get the ball to come out the second half. And they scored on the opening drive of the second half. It had been a different game, but he felt the pressure because they don't believe in the defense that he had to get points. He pressed and got burned.
He admitted it. He pressed you guys, and you knew it was going to happen eventually, and it did.
We got to hit a break real quick, but we'll come back and trash this performance a little bit more after this.
Today's headlines, sponsored by your North Texas Chevy dealers.
Elsewhere in the NFL today, the Eagles beat the Giants 38-20. Saquon Barkley broke 100 yards rushing for the first time this season. But New York loses rookie running back Cam Skattebo to an ugly ankle injury. And the Mavs get their first win of the season, 139-129 over the Raptors at home. They will host the defending champion Thunder tomorrow. Congratulations to the Mavs who, at least there's one team in the DFW area that knows how to build a team around defense.
Whoa.
Wink, wink.
Hang on now.
Wink, wink. Anyway.
Hey, Cooper Flag went head top on him. That was nice. That was nice. That was a nice little introduction to the NBA today.
Sure. All right. So let's get back to the Cowboys and the real debacle here going on. You guys brought up the whole defensive issue starting to permeate the offense, and I kind of want to highlight the situational issues where I feel like this team has really succeeded in the first 7 weeks or so. When they've had a chance to get back in the game, they've made it. They've made a play. Something's happened. To me, the false start on the opening drive when they could have had 7 instead of 3 changed the whole complexion of things. Also, it just felt like there were a couple moments where they just needed that one spark play. They were down 14-10. Defense couldn't get off the field. Then they couldn't keep pace in their pressing. I know we've seen offenses fall apart in the altitude, but I'm curious, was there something else that you guys noticed with the offense about why they didn't click the way that they have in the first 7 weeks this season?
Well, I will say this. We'll talk a little bit about the environment, right? Because we were talking about this before the show. There's a kind of a collegiate feel to the environment here. It's a lot louder than I remember it being. I don't know about the altitude, but I will say this. It felt as though that offensive line was struggling just to get ready to play. There was miscommunication. They were jumping. They were fidgety. They were flinchy. And they just struggled, right? I mean, Dak was under duress a lot in that first half, and that's why they weren't able to really consistently keep drives going, especially early in the game.
Well, let's be real. The Broncos' defense is really good. They're the number one defense. They're number one defense in the league against the pass, okay? Pass rushers, cover guys in the secondary. Jake Ferguson was a hell without a catch on National Tight Ends Day because of how they play their defense, okay?
Yeah.
So it's one thing, you bottle up CD and Pickens, but usually Ferguson's able to eat inside. He had no catches. There was no room for Ferguson because of how they play the defense. You have to give them credit. Dak did not have time to get the ball downfield.
That was my point.
Yeah, to the receivers because he rushed 6 times, because of the way the bootlegs weren't working. That's why you saw Dak taking off a few times. But let's give credit where credit's due. It's that Broncos defense. It's that pass rush. Guyton got killed early. Nick Bonito, local kid, killed Tyler Guyton.
Terrence Steele.
Yeah, Terrence Steele. The edges, they did not hold up. And I would also say, I want the offense to be a little more greedy. When Surtain is off the field.
Yes.
Yeah.
Go after the guy.
Go right at the guy who comes in for Surtain.
Yes.
And I know you feel like I don't have to pick any one guy because I got CD, but on that opening drive of the goal line, when they had to settle for the field goal, Surtain was off the field. And yes, they went to CD, but the matchup on the other side, I mean,
yeah.
It was the third.
It was Pickens against their third or fourth corner.
Right.
Make the play, make it happen. And again, that's a Shoddy and Dak thing, right? They've got to recognize, they got to realize. And listen, it's not fair because we are asking them to be perfect. We know it's not fair, but that's just what you have to be.
I thought one of the most important sequences in the game, too, especially for the defense, was the offside penalty on James Houston. There was an opportunity for this defense to have some actual bona fide momentum coming out of their performance against Washington, which we've already discussed why they were able to do what they were able to do against the Commanders. But you come out and pick off Bo Nix on the first possession of the football game and then put together a legitimate 3-and-out on the second possession of the game, if not for the fact that James Houston was lined up in the neutral zone. 3rd and 2, they pop a big play. 2 plays later, they're in the end zone, and it's 7-3 Denver. If there's not an offside penalty there on James Houston, the Cowboys start the game with a pick and a 3-and-out defensively, and all of a sudden on the sideline there would have to have been a swell of, hey, look at us, we're turning the corner defensively. And that went poof because of that penalty. And then obviously the rest of the game, they showed that they did not actually have any real reason for momentum, but how different the vibes could have been if not for that penalty.
100%. And the discipline of the team just in general. I mean, penalties have started to amass over the last couple of weeks, Joe, but it really stuck out today.
Yeah, no, I agree. I would say this about that penalty, and it changed the momentum early. But I'll say this. The way Sean Payton dialed up plays against this defense today. If it would have happened and they would have got him off the field, it may have ended up being a shootout. We may have had a little bit better game for longer, but this defense could not stand what Sean Payton was throwing at them. No way, no how. That just would have prolonged the misery a little bit, Mike, and I think it still would have happened that way.
Yeah, probably. All right, we'll be back. Andrew's got, what do you have
I got a new game
us?
coming up. We'll surprise you guys with what's coming up. Stay with us on the Ultimate Dallas Sports
We don't
Show.
even know this.
All right, y'all. I've grown tired of the same 5 games we always play. So 60 episodes in, we're adding a new one. This is called This or That. The concept is simple because it has to be for Mike's sake. I've got 2 things, and the panel has to decide which one they prefer. Still got the debate format, and we begin with the topic that popped up this week during the World Series. Joe, this or that, which do you want? Mike Trout's career, 11-time All-Star, 3-time MVP, 3-time MLB first team, 9-time Silver Slugger, but has never won a playoff game, or George Springer's career, only a 4-time All-Star, but a World Series champion, World Series MVP, multiple incredible playoff moments, and also a noted beneficiary of the Astros cheating scandal. Joe, who you got?
Yeah, first of all, I don't like the game. I don't like the game at all.
Oh, come on.
I don't like it.
All right.
Because you put me in a no-win situation right off the bat.
Yep.
But here's what I will say, and I will say this definitively. Cheating notwithstanding, we're all about championships. That's how I roll. If you don't like it, I'm sorry. We're all about championships because that is why you play the game. So it's George Springer. Mike Trout is so incredible. He's fantastic. But the ring, and here's the other thing about Trout, as he shakes his head. He's not going to end up on like the national shows like I think about Chuck Barkley, right? Doesn't have a ring, but he's amazing. He's Chuck. So you make your argument.
First of all, it's not about personality. So you're changing the whole conversation. First of all, who makes more money? Show me the money. Show me the money. Who's going into the Hall of Fame?
Fair point.
You
Exactly.
want Trout's bank account over Springer's bank account.
Fair point.
The first team you play for is the home team. At the house. They're his house. You cannot guarantee you're going to be on all these playoff teams and World Series teams. What you can guarantee when you're Mike Trout, you're going to get paid.
Do you think George Springer's hurting for money?
Generational.
He's going to be
money.
okay. He'll be all right.
He can't come close to Mike
He'll
Trout.
be all right. Mike,
we
what do you
need
think?
Mike to
He had a
jump
little
in
bitty
here.
boat.
Listen, I want the wins, man. I want the wins. You got plenty of money. George Springer ain't hurting for coin, and he'll have all these different playoff moments that he's been a part of. I'm going with the wins every time.
Give me the
No
Hall of Fame. I'll take the Hall of Fame. You guys can take the trash cans. All right. Number 2 here. Dak and Tony Romo have been virtually identical careers, 127 starts in. So the question is, at the same point in both of their careers, Dak right now, Romo midway through the 2013 season, whose career do you want? Clarence, this or that?
Who got $60 million?
We're back to the money.
Chill's all about the money.
Fans are the same, right?
Yeah.
Who got $60 million? Who got the most embarrassing playoff loss? Who dropped
that's
the snap?
tough. That's
Give me
tough.
Dak and that $60 million. What are we talking about here?
Yeah, that one is a little bit easier. The highest paid player in NFL history. We're gonna have to go with Dak.
Does Jessica Simpson sway Mike at all? It's kind of my question here.
Jessica Simpson's not in the picture anymore.
Mike, who do you want?
I'll take Dax only because there's still an opportunity to go actually get a championship.
Well, okay, I think he missed the point of the game entirely where I said at the 2013 season for Romo, not knowing what would come later. So regardless,
Why at the
that's Mike.
2013
That's
season?
why I have to simplify the games, guys, because Mike still doesn't understand the conceit.
Why
of
at
it.
the 2013 season?
Because there's 127 starts in, exactly at the same point of their careers. Dak now. Anyway, I already explained it. Everyone at home understands what's going on. I'd take Dak too, guys.
think
All
they
right.
do.
Thank you, Joe and Clarence, for sticking around with the lights off. Stay
Get a
with us on the
different
Ultimate Dallas
game,
Sports
bro.
Show. Mike's final take
All right,
coming
you
up
guys.
next. I am still trying to explain to Mike the conceit of the last game.
The concept?
No, the conceit. He is conceited. Mike's final take.
I don't know how much time we have, but find a different game, bro.
Get on with it. Get on with it.
I don't know what just happened. Cooper Flagg. Nice start to his career. The game 1 was not pretty. Game 2, a big improvement. Game 3, a big step forward today. 22 points, dropped the hammer on the Toronto Raptors, showed some real growth, showed what he's going to be. This kid is only 18 years old. There is a bright future in front of this kid in a very, very big way. Those of you that wrote him off with the goose egg in the first half of his NBA career were lunatics for doing so. He's going to be just fine, and he showed a little bit of why tonight.
It's nice that we have something positive about this Mavs season to really look at. Even in the 2 losses, he's been fun to watch. I realize he started slow in the first game, but second game when he's throwing down dunks, I really liked what I've seen from him. Can't argue with that part so far.
They need to figure out how to play defense, considering that's what they said they're going to build their entire roster around.
Is that what they said? Interesting. That might be a sticking point. We'll see.
Nico was hearing it the other night, man.
just a touch.
I thought we were past that. Like, he was signing autographs at the preseason game, and I went, okay, the fan base has come around on this guy.
What have you done for me lately?
Good night, everybody. We'll see you next week for more of the Ultimate Dallas Sports Show.
This has been the Ultimate Dallas Sports Show, sponsored by your North Texas Chevy dealers. Together, let's drive.